bow before the power of the Super PAC.
SuperPACs shouldn't be allowed to exist and have the power that they do. They only lead to legalized bribery and political corruption and need to be regulated.
But they're protected by free speech. The Citizens United case of 2010 said so. There is no risk of quid pro quo benefits where a politician receives favors for something, but since their donations don't go to the politicians directly, and therefore don't need regulation.
Citizens United was a flawed ruling that ignored established precedent. In 1976, Buckley v. Vallejo said that Congress can regulate bribery. If there is a risk of quid pro quo, then Congress can step in and regulate. Independent speech can't be regulated.
But Citizens United says that corporations and super PACs have the same rights as individuals, and therefore have independent speech. Coordination between rich people, corporations, and super PACs is okay because there's no quid pro quo with a politician. Haha! So since super PACs have independent speech, the circuit courts upheld the ruling since quid pro quo between PACs, rich people, and corporations is okay because there's no quid pro quo with the politician.
Those rulings were based on an erroneous ruling in the Speech Now case in the D.C. Circuit. All the other circuits simply followed suit. But quid pro quo happens all the time, even though the donation goes to a PAC, not a politician.
There are no examples of that.
Wrong. In U.S. v. Menendez, it was found that Senator Bob Menendez gave favors to donors in exchange for a donation to his super PAC. So the risk of quid pro quo is always created every time a super PAC receives a large donation. And that's the important part.
But that's just one case. The probability of that happening.
The Buckley case established the precedent of asking about the risk of quid pro quo, not the probability. You just need the risk. Which is more likely to carry the risk of quid pro quo? A PAC contribution of millions or billions? Or $3,000 per individual, the maximum allowed amount per individual as a direct contribution to a politician? And we know there's risk because we can compare the polling versus the policy. 55% of all voters support Medicare for all. Over 80% of all American voters support paid leave and paid family leave. The fact that there's no policy movement proves that the majority of voters aren't being represented. Only donors are.
So wait, Citizens United was a bad ruling?
Yes, and the D.C. Circuit ruling. The Supreme Court allows regulation of contributions when there's a risk of quid pro quo. That's partly why the cap for individuals is set at $3,000. There only needs to be that risk. The larger the contribution, the larger the risk. Large contributions of tens of hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to a super PAC creates that same risk. There is no difference. Citizens United simply allowed legalized bribery into our political system, and that's why politicians answer to their donors and corporations, not to their constituents. If we want to restore balance to our political system, we need to cancel super PACs so politicians start representing all the people again, not just the wealthiest 1% and corporations. We need to cancel super PACs now.